and welcome to the Invention Licensing Show. I'm your host, David Fidowa, and I'm here to help you license your products. Last episode, we went over the power of books. I want to get into my 5 favorite books. I'll probably actually bring up 6, just because I couldn't help myself. So to jump right into it, I wanted to break it down from the beginning. The very first book I read, all the way through just my favorite books. I can't go through all of them, but I wanted to give you guys kind of what I got out of each book. I brought some of the books right here with me so I can kind of show you a little bit about them. Awaken the Giant Within, you can see this is an older book, probably published in the early 90s, late 80s maybe, but Tony Robbins, really successful guy in the personal development space. Very first book that I read in that space, and super fascinating to me. I want to take you back to the point in my life in which I was at when I was reading this book. Right? Everything's all about emotional states, and so the emotional state that I was in when I read this book, I felt somewhat helpless because I had graduated college. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I was living in an apartment, and I was waiting tables. Actually, I think I was a dishwasher at the time, and so I was washing dishes. I hadn't moved up to waiter yet, and it was funny. I never really even thought anything of it at the time, but I had 2 light bulbs in my house, and I don't know why I didn't think anything of this at the time, but I'd take the light bulbs from like the downstairs and I'd take the light bulb upstairs and screw it in and then flip on the light. And I didn't want to buy new light bulbs, and so I just moved the light bulbs that I had around the house, that's where I was at when I read this book, and so I read the book, and it just was so like profoundly impactful on me that it kind of made me start my journey in life, right? I realized, like, all right, this is where I'm at. I'm moving light bulbs around so I don't have to buy new ones. And that's where I'm going to be if I don't do anything about it. And so that's where the book took me from it. It was kind of my launching pad of getting my life started in terms of development and really becoming the person that I am today. So I really love this book. Very impactful. See, I got a couple little tags in there to mark some spots on it, but it was a great book. Still is a great book. I recommend reading it, and sometimes I even go back and reread it. So yeah, love that one. As I moved through the process, I read this book, and this one's going to be a little bit controversial. The 4-Hour Work Week. Let me get a little light on it there, and the reason I say it's controversial is because, well, I guess I feel like it is. Some people look at this as like a manual of how to like break free from the day job and have your passive income. But I look at it more of I guess I want to call it a philosophy book. And so, that's why I guess I say it would be controversial a little bit, because it's more of a philosophy, it's more of a mindset. And when I read it, I took it more as a manual, and that's where I had trouble. In the book, if you've read it, you'll see that the author, Tim Ferriss, he kind of rolls through this life of like, all right, you do these things, and then you have a business that passively fills your bank account while you travel the world and compete in tango competitions and do all these great, amazing things. And like there's a missing linchpin for me, the business that filled my bank account while I did other things. And so I kept trying all these things to make a business that filled my bank account while I traveled the world and did whatever I wanted, but I could never figure out the business aspect. But now I'm realizing it's more of a philosophy to design your life, to be conscious about your life, and to put together the parts and pieces that make you happy and then follow those. That's more so what I get out of the book now than what I did before. And I do have a lot of my income is passive now, and I have the ability to travel and do all these things. And so it was a good launching pad. It's a good book, but I wouldn't take it as a manual. I would take it more as a philosophy book and mindset and kind of focus book. The next one I wanted to talk about is it's called The Obstacle is the Way. Great book, Ryan Holiday. It's a simple. I mean, it's some of these books there's multiple messages in it. The Obstacle is the Way is almost like a single message book. Is a lot of the times the problem in front of you is the solution, or through that problem is the solution. And that's what I found with inventing, right? Is you will run into problems no matter what. That is one thing that you have in the inventing world, is that's what we're literally meant to do in the inventing world, is solve problems. And so some people look at problems as problems. I look at them as the opportunity, or the obstacle is the way. And so through reading that book, it was really kind of fun, kind of changing my mindset and my focus from like, oh, these problems are all like devastating and taking me away from my passive income journey that I can go travel the world with, and seeing that I can use these problems as opportunities to advance life and improve a lot of different things. And so once reading that book, I found that when I was licensing products, there'd always be problems. And I looked at them more as the opportunity, because other inventors and other people around me were like, oh, that problem won't work, or that product won't work or won't be licensed. And I'd say, well, why? Well, why won't it be licensed? And I kept asking until I got to a problem that I could solve. And that was like my obstacle is the way that I would continue to ask why until I understood the root of the problem. And then I'd go solve that problem. And that's how I got all my products licensed. So that was a big launching pad from being an amateur to a professional inventor, is being able to start asking why and understanding those problems so that I could then fix them. So that was a very cool book for me in my process of growth and development. The next one is, there's two books, but they tell a lot of the same message. It's The Power of Habits and Atomic Habits. They both talk about, and I've read both of them. They're both great books. I can recommend both of them. But the thing that really stood out to me was that one of the stories in, I think it was The Power of Habits, was all about brushing your teeth. And people didn't brush their teeth before, I think they said the 50s. And so in the 40s, nobody did. And it was within an astoundingly short period of time, like 3 years, that they got 80% of the United States to brush their teeth. And it was all because they wanted to sell toothpaste. And it was a habitual thing, right? They created this habit in the morning and at night when you wake up and when you go to bed, to brush your teeth. And so it's like you look at your life, and your life is a sequence of habits. And this is what's outlined in the book, is it's a sequence of habits that you do. Even your thinking, right? When you wake up in the morning, you think certain things, and then that thought leads to the next thing. And it's a habitual set of sequences. So if you can set up in your life these habitual sequences to lead to a successful outcome that you want, then it's like success is like brushing your teeth in the morning. You wake up, you do it, you brush your teeth, and you move on with your day. You wake up, you do your successful tasks, and you're on with your day, and you don't think twice about it. So the way that I derive success in my life is I try to set up all of the things, or all the patterns of actions that need to happen as habits, right? You wake up and you don't think like, oh, do I need to brush my teeth or not today? You just do it because it's habitual. And that's what you need to set up in your life, is how do you make the habits of licensing your product a habitual action that you don't even think about. And that's how I try to create all the success in my life. I don't like to grind it out. I like to create habits that it's just comfortable. And what I do during the day is I wake up, I do successful things to make my products sell, and then that's my day. That's how I live through it and enjoy it. And so that's what I got out of those two books. I've got two more books, so I'm getting close to 7 now. Is Mindset, and this was a great book. It talks about the psychology of success. It's neuroplasticity, and like the fact that your mind is not set, right? If you have a growth mindset, you have an idea or focus or expectation that your mind can grow from where it is, or you can change from what you are to something new. And that is exactly what inventors need to know and need to focus on. And this is, if you were to read, I guess, one book, I would read this one, because it's short, it's impactful, it opens your eyes to the ability to say, all these other books can impact me in a positive way. So I really loved it. I think it's an impactful book. If you hear a lot of successful people talk, they will just make comments about mindset, right? And if I wouldn't have read the book, I wouldn't understand a lot of these very successful entrepreneurs when they're doing talks or presentations and this is brought up. I wouldn't understand or have the context, and so it would just kind of like fly over my head. But when I hear them reference the mindset, the book, then I know kind of how it works in a much more in-depth way. So I do recommend this if you're going to read one. The next one, and this one's a pretty cool one, The Millionaire Fastlane. I've met the author, very, very cool dude, but it's eye-opening, the book, and it really is a strategy for developing wealth and developing life that you want. So it kind of encompasses a lot of these books, and it's finance and it's entrepreneurial, and it gets real. That's the one thing I love about it. A lot of books that I've read, they have a lot of fluff, but MJ, the author, has you kind of like break down, what is your formula? What's realistic? And I saw a presentation where he spoke, and he asked everybody, like in the crowd, do your formula, figure out what your calculation is. And at that time, I kind of calculated my income and my savings rate and where I wanted to be financially to retire. And I remember it was 111 years it would take me to get to where I wanted to be at the pace I was at, and it was so eye-opening. I was just like, oh man, I got to change some things. And so the Millionaire Fastlane is all about being real and bringing reality to your dreams. You can have all these great dreams, but they're just dreams until you start to put together plans and execution. And that's what MJ and the Millionaire Fastlane is all about, is trying to bring your dreams into reality in a realistic way and not in a fluffy, like abstract, put together goals, but like, how do you concretely execute these things and bring your life to where you want to be? And so that's my mini book review. I said 5 books, but really 7 books that I really liked out of the 200 or so books that I've read that have been very impactful. So I do hope you can grab at least one of these to help impact your life and help you grow as an individual entrepreneur financially, whatever it is you're looking to do. So I love it. I hope you loved that episode of License Your Invention with David Fidua. As you know, I'm always here to help you license your products. If you got anything out of those books, if you're going to read one this year, give me a thumbs up or subscribe now. The next episode is the roller coaster of emotions of effective inventors.